I discovered a lost world full of mature mule deer bucks on a remote plateau in the mountains. One of my favorite adventure books of all time is Sir Conan Doyle's classic, The Lost World. In it, a group of explorers discover a plateau deep in the Amazon basin, rising high above the jungle floor, cut off from the rest of the world, and full of prehistoric animals. The men named the plateau Maple White Land. Over the years in my hunting career, I've continued to go deeper and deeper into the backcountry, hoping to find my own Maple White Land, cut off from easy access and heavy hunting pressure. After years of searching, I finally found such a place. I still got about a mile until my campsite. Well, I didn't make it up the mountain yet. I got really cold and tired, so I decided to halfway set up a tent and sleeping bag under these trees and just hunker down for the night and try and get up at the crack of dawn and hike up to my permanent camp. It's still 1,500 feet above me, and that's where the deer are. Finally made it on top of the plateau. It took way longer than I expected because the snow was so deep, so I'm dehydrated and hungry. I'm gonna make some food real quick and make a fire and dry off, and then I'll try and look for a more permanent campsite. I'm really excited to be back up here. I just reached the top of the plateau. I've only been up here about an hour, and I've already glassed up 3 different bucks. One of them's pretty nice. I don't know if I want to shoot him the first day, but he's definitely a nice mature buck. And then 2 other decent, not huge bucks with him. And I'm glassing across this other hilltop, and there's some does over there. So I'm guessing there's probably a buck over there as well. That is a big deer track. Wow. I've learned from experience that when you're camping out in a hot tent with a wood burning stove, it's good to pick a spot that has lots of dead sticks around to fuel you while you're here. I was really second guessing myself when I was climbing up to the plateau. I haven't hunted here with the snow that deep. It was ridiculous. Some places it was 3 feet. So yeah, I was really second guessing myself. But then right when we got up top, I saw a couple nice deer. And then later in the afternoon, saw a couple really giant deer. So yeah, I'm excited for the prospects of tomorrow. I disturbed a nice buck, bedded down with his toes, but they didn't run, they just kind of stood up and moved on the other side of the hill, so hopefully they're still there. Well, I got a buck down. He's a nice buck. Yeah, I ended up bumping these deer. They moved off. They weren't too scared. And as I'm still hunting on this ridge, I ended up glassing the buck bedded down below me at exactly 200 yards. So I just got set up here, got really calm and hit him once and he dropped. It was a good shot. So he's got his does and some young bucks on the outskirts here. They just took off running. That's a nice buck. Before I shot this buck, he tore up this tree pretty good, and then he bedded down over there. Relatively short hunt for me. Despite it being so short, it's been one of the most physically demanding hunts I've ever done. And I know I say that like every other hunt, but truly this one was on a totally different scale. As I was saying, the snow is about 3 feet deep in some areas. I was post-holing every step of the way. I would take 10 steps and my heart rate would be going so crazy I'd have to sit down, catch my breath. I was really contemplating my next move. I'm eating like twice the amount of food that I normally would. I'm hunting like 1/3 of the distance of the area that I typically do in this spot, just because the snow is so deep. So I was really discouraged, but luckily I caught up to this guy in his does in this area, and I ended up shooting him in his bed. So yeah, I'm just super grateful. I'm grateful to end it, quite honestly. I'm grateful to be done with this hunt so I can pack him up. Yeah, he's a great representative buck. I'm not a trophy hunter by any means, and as I've said many times before, but I think for size-wise, this is probably my top 2 biggest bucks. Just a great representative animal. All right, meat's all packed up. Just need to load the skull and then take this load off the top of this plateau. It's gonna take me the rest of the day, probably. I cannot express how exhausting this is in this deep snow. This is funny, this deer used my footprints when I left here yesterday. I just broke down my camp back here. It's gonna be dark soon. I want to hike down off the plateau and set up just a campsite for tonight down below at the creek bottom. It's like almost 2,000 feet below me. I think it'll save me a lot of time and energy to do it tonight. And even though it's dark, I have all my footprints to follow the way, so I won't get lost or anything. So yeah, that's the plan. Just gonna power through tonight, set up camp down there, and then in the morning hike back up the 1,500 feet or so to grab the meat. Probably gonna have to take 2 trips to the truck, but that's okay. Gonna leave the buck here and got the meat cached there. Gonna leave it for the night. I'll be back in the morning. I'm gonna hike down all the way down there right now. This hike down is no freaking joke. Whew. I've come across the 2 small avalanches that completely covered up my trails. I mean, they're not huge avalanches, but it's still pretty spooky. My path is completely covered in 2 different places. So this slope is really steep. It doesn't look like it, but it's freaking steep. I'm hiking back up to get the deer meat. There's my tent. Storm clouds gathering. I gotta hurry. I made it back up to where I had cached the deer meat. Looks like a pine marten had ripped a tiny little hole into the game bag and got a snout in there. And he was able to pull out 1 backstrap, both tenderloins, and the heart. So that's super disappointing. Like literally the best meat. I mean, obviously in warmer weather I would hang the meat up in trees. I guess I need to start doing that in the future. A hard lesson learned. A lot of bow hunters I know, myself included in the past, kind of, downplay the difficulties of rifle hunting. But the last couple of years that I've started hunting with a rifle in November in the mountains in the backcountry, it's really changed my perspective of it. I think, hunting high country deer and elk with the bow in September, the weather conditions are usually so nice, so comfortable compared to here. And now in November, 6 miles deep at 10,000 feet, it's like one of the most physically and mentally draining hunts. And it just feels like, comparable, if possible, to a taste of what like the mountain men experienced back in the 1800s. Well, I loaded the meat and some excess gear back in the truck. Now it's time to head back for the last load to get the rest of the gear, rifle, and the buck skull. So, gonna take a sparkling water for the road. Made it back to my tent where I stashed all my gear, and it is blizzarding pretty hard. I need to hurry because about the last 2 miles is kind of an ungroomed trail. So I want to be able to follow my footsteps, so I'm kind of in a hurry now. Alright, I'm all cinched up and it is really coming down. I got about 2 miles to reach the main trail and then I'm good. This one's an ungroomed trail, so it's easy to get lost. So, alright, let's make a 2 mile push. I'm almost to the junction. But not a moment too soon because my tracks are almost completely covered.